Hello, welcome to the Book Nook with Andy and Connor, and we are back with Doug, the new senior pastor here, and we're really excited to have him here. And last episode we talked about Doug and what he likes to do just as an individual personally, but today we're going to talk about his pastoral life and what he likes to do and kind of what he's like as a pastor. So we're excited to talk about it. So yeah, we are here today.
So first question, Doug. What is your favorite thing about being a pastor?
Yeah, I don't know if I have a favorite, because I really do enjoy multiple aspects of the job. I enjoy preaching, visitation. You know, we were just talking about doing some visitations. I've always found that to be very rewarding. I enjoy teaching settings as well. So those are some of the things I really enjoy, and I try to do as much as possible of those things.
There's a lot of people that we could visit at this church, so you got
it's true.
You got a lot of options there.
Yeah, tell us kind of the journey of your call to Markham Woods. I'm sure a lot of people are curious about that.
Yeah, that is interesting because I got a call from the Florida Conference on January 3 as I was driving from Lincoln, Nebraska, back to where I've been serving, northern Minnesota, up by the Canadian border, very cold area. I thought, man, how ironic. January 3, get a call from Florida asking if I want my name put into a church down in Orlando. So I said yes, and but I didn't hear back from anybody for a couple months. So I thought, feelers come and go, and you never know what's going to work or what's going to work out. But then Todd Franz texted me and said they wanted to do a phone interview. And he sent me he said, but before the phone interview, you kind of need to know about Markham Woods. So I want to send you this philosophy of ministry statement. I think it would be helpful for you to read that. So I read that, and it was the best thing I've ever seen produced by a local Adventist church about what they're doing. And so then we had the first phone interview and just had a really good time with the search committee. And kind of went from there. Then had more Zoom meetings than I've ever had before with any group of people.
Yes.
Because of COVID, couldn't come down here and see everybody face to face. But that's kind of how it transpired.
Awesome.
Well, we know that God has called you here, Doug, and we're excited. But not only for Connor and I, but I'm sure there's many people in the congregation are just excited to meet you. Talking about COVID, we kind of developed this question because of the situation that's happening now. How has COVID, this experience, COVID-19, how has this strengthened your faith?
Well, it strengthened my faith in the sense that I see God's people. For instance, you guys weren't doing the Book Nook before it.
It's true.
And God's people find other ways to engage society. The church hasn't disappeared. People's faith is still, as a pastor, I see that people are really yearning to be back together. It was that way in my district. I sense it in this district as well. That strengthens your faith. It shows you that God has worked on the hearts of His people, and that whether or not we see each other face to face, those bonds are still there.
What is probably what are you most excited for as you're coming in as a senior pastor here at Markham Woods? What do you think you're most excited for as being senior pastor?
Well, actually, there are a lot of things I'm excited about Markham Woods.
Yeah, go ahead and share.
I've been in a 5-church district where literally if I went to each of the churches, it would take me about 5 to 7 hours to get around just to wave at each church.
I think we're spoiled, Connor.
It was a big district. And my church members were literally scattered hundreds of miles apart from each other. And I was working, with people in the church, but unfortunately we just weren't able to have a team. So I think, the fact we're doing this right now and we're met with the staff yesterday and got a great board. I mean, we've got a team here that's really, it's fantastic, thinking about, what we can all do. And it enlarges the outreach and the ministries that you can think about when you have a big team like that. And the Babiancos who are helping record this, I mean, just seeing them, dedicated people like that in this church that are willing to put in time and do wonderful ministries, that's exciting.
I think that's something that Connor and I just mentioned that before, because this is our first, time at a church full-time ministry, doing ministry as a calling out of our educational experience, and so we don't know long term. I know we worked in different churches before, but we don't know what it's like to travel that long and to have 5 churches that you have to take care of, and that the fact that we have a team, and looking at your passion, like yesterday when we had staff meeting, and I think it ignites both of our fires. Like, wow, yes, we do have a team. We do have people who are that are extremely passionate about this church, and it is exciting.
Yeah, and it's visible. I mean, you can sense it, and I sense it through the interview process. So that's a great thing about Markham Woods.
Well, now I'm going to hit you with some hard questions.
All right,
Doug, are you ready for this?
Yeah, I'm ready.
We've got to add some spice,
That's right.
These we're safe answers, safe questions. What do you love about our denomination, Seventh Day Adventist, and what do you think is something that we could do better on?
They're almost the same thing. So the structure of the Adventist Church is just amazing. I mean, the fact that we're all together, Miami, Maryland, Minnesota, and God's brought us all together, that just doesn't happen in every denomination, and we have work in 200 countries of the world. And to have this really diverse group of people, I had the privilege of being able to serve in the former Soviet Union in the Middle East, and that was incredibly enriching. And every time I went to an Adventist church, it didn't matter if it was in the mountains of Armenia or on Cyprus or in Egypt. You have this camaraderie. And your belief system about Christ, the second coming, God's law, it unites people. So I love that about our church. But that's almost also the weakness of our church sometimes. We think we have this big system, and it sometimes relieves us of our personal duty to share Christ with people around us at times, and we can rely on this big system to do it. And sometimes we talk about, the gospel's going to the whole world because we have 3 ABN now. Well, when I was Earth or Hope Channel or whatever it may be, this worldwide ministry, and in my ministry, I've just seen nothing replaces person-to-person contact.
Amen.
And friendship. And so I think sometimes we can, probably, it's not that the system is wrong in that sense. It's just sometimes we can almost take advantage of it, and maybe not appreciate it for what it is, and still realize our individual responsibilities to share, with the gospel.
Wow.
I think we only have time for only one more question. This is a question that I really want to ask you. What is the gospel to you?
Yeah, that's a great question. And, I've been up in Minnesota with about 1 million Lutherans. And about 4 years ago, we celebrated Martin Luther's 500th year anniversary of the 95 thesis, posting the 95 thesis at Wittenberg.
Yeah.
So I really went back and restudied righteousness by faith. And when it talks about, especially as Adventists, we derive our mission and who we are from the 3 angels' messages, and especially the first angel, of the angel crying out, literally, with like megaphone in Greek, of the eternal good news. And I really got back into Romans. And Romans 8, where it says, "For what the flesh was weakened to do, God did by sending his own Son." And to read some of Martin Luther's quotes of how when God looks at me, when I accept Jesus, when he looks at me, he treats me not as though I'm a weak, fallible, sinful, erring Doug Hardt, but he actually deals with me as though I were his spotless, perfect son. And to me, that was that's the nutshell of it. In the gospel in a nutshell, is that our relationship with God was completely revolutionized through the life and sacrifice of Christ. And now God, he took my sin and my punishment and my shame, and now he gives me his glory, honor, and character and righteousness as a gift.
Wow.
Wow, love that.
Yeah, we're speechless. I mean, we're ready for you to preach a sermon right now.
That's the gospel, guys.
That's the gospel. Hopefully, you have been blessed. That's such a common question, but I feel like it's so vital, especially in today's climate. And thank you so much, Doug, for sharing that perspective, that Christ, that God does not look at us as a sinful Andres or Connor, but looks at us through his loving eyes and sees Jesus, his son. That's just beautiful. Hopefully you have been blessed by Pastor Doug. He's going to be preaching, and I know for a fact that you're going to be blessed by him as he speaks to, as he goes through the Word. And so thank you so much for joining us for this another session of the Book Nook with Andy and Connor, and with our special guest, Star, senior pastor.
Servant.
Servant. We'll see you next time.